no government is better than its public service. So any government that wants to deliver goods and services to its citizens in the most efficient, effective way, it would have to invest in the public service.
Bringing decision-making and resources closer to the people is really what public service is about.
What we need to do in the public service is to improve our collective intelligence.
I can confidently say we are building back better. And I thank all the public servants who have worked tirelessly to ensure that there was continuity of public service delivery to our citizens.
The Africa Public Service Day is an event entrenched in the African Union calendar, originating from the Conference of African Ministers for Public or Civil Service held in 1994, which agreed that 23rd June be celebrated annually as Africa Public Service Day to recognize the value and virtue of service to the community.
The rationale behind this day is the realization among governments of the African continent that the public service is the fulcrum of both national and continental development, and that Africa Agenda 2063, adopted by our AU, of an integrated, prosperous Africa and a dynamic force in the global arena based on inclusive growth and sustainable development, is premised on having innovative, well-structured, and functional public services in each of the respective African states. Today, celebrations come at a unique and challenging time when countries all over the world are emerging from the challenge that has been with us for the last 2 years and is still with us, that is COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic has brought to the fore the importance of having a strong, agile, and resilient public service. This is how we managed to respond quickly to the pandemic, develop homegrown responses, and continue with the implementation of government plans, projects, and programs. In addition, the pandemic brought about opportunities for enhancing our various e-government capabilities, rapidly building our capacities to host virtual meetings and conferences, build upon our electronic document management systems, enhance performance, transparency, and accountability through electronic service delivery mechanisms, and so forth.
Kenya marked this year's Africa Public Service Day by reflecting on transformation that has taken place across the public service in the last 10 years.
Any government that wants to deliver goods and services to its citizens in the most efficient, effective way, it would have to invest in the public service. And I think that's what His Excellency the President has done, and he actually made it clear when he came in the office that he wants to leave a better public service than he found it, and I believe he has done that. For example, when he came in, he just launched what we call now Huduma Center, and I think the Huduma Centers have grown to deliver to their mandate, but now we are also being challenged, moving and leveraging on technology. We are being told that we no longer need to go to Huduma Center. Huduma Center need to come to us.
The celebration was held under the theme Celebrating Public Service Transformation, 10-year journey and beyond. The main objective of Africa Public Service Day is for public service organization to reflect on the successes and challenges within the public service and ponder on possible mitigating measures to address service delivery.
The main objective of Africa Public Service Day celebrations is to recognize the contribution made by public servants in the social, economic, and political development of their country, Further, the day seeks to showcase service delivery innovations, which are in essence homegrown solutions to the challenges experienced in the public service.
Specifically, the day seeks to provide a platform for public servants to showcase and reward innovative initiatives, achievements and their positive contribution to socio-economic development, motivate and encourage public servants to come up with new initiatives and innovations, obtain feedback from the citizenry on services rendered, and avail an opportunity for public servants to promote values such as professionalism, accountability, responsiveness, ethics and performance in the delivery of public services.
Public service organizations, both at national and county levels, have been invited to showcase outstanding innovations that have transformed how services are delivered to the citizenry in the last 10 years. The growing shortage of public resources has led to rethinking service delivery to ensure that public service delivers more with less.
We have this symposium where we have scholars and thought leaders and experts who will be speaking on various topics touching on public service transformation for the next 2 days. And then we have the exhibition which is taking place just above here, where all the MDAs, we have 130 ministries, departments and agencies who are showcasing innovations in public service delivery. And therefore, after the 2 days, on the 23rd, which is actually the actual day for celebration as identified by the African Union, we'll have the award ceremony.
In the context of the public sector, which I think is an amazing opportunity to participate in and how we look at it, first of all, innovation, we have a simple definition of innovation. It's change that is going to add value, all right? Change that adds value. What that means, it is, first of all, it is not equal to technology. So we're not saying that innovation is technology. Technology enables innovation or helps you to accelerate the innovation. That's one dimension. Second is that it requires skills to build innovations that will truly impact people. And skills here involve things like user-centered design. Because we say technology is not the innovation, so we're not asking people to expect to immerse themselves and truly understand technology. But I think the question is, what is the problem we are solving? And in many forums as we engage, we try to educate people that fall in love with the problem, not the solution or the technology. Once we immerse ourselves and truly understand the problems that we face, the society faces, then we increase our likelihood of building well thought out solutions for society.
This year's theme is premised on the government aspiration to improve the administrative systems to better serve the needs of the citizenry.
As public officers, we are called upon to listen very carefully to our political leaders so that our views and their views are not divergent, and to interpret the intentions accurately and to develop policies that respond to the wishes and aspirations of our people. Our people have a right to demand services and have a right to pursue happiness, and we help them by making it possible to keep improving their standards of living.
The reform initiative pursued by the government in the last decade are aimed at creating an efficient and effective public service in order to promote and sustain quality in service delivery to the citizenry.
Innovations in public service is about finding new and better ways of meeting the needs of citizenry. And I was just thinking the case of the big city of Nairobi, the incidences that happen, the fire incidences, the collapsed building, if you just deployed, it's already happening elsewhere, just a simple drone technology to capture what is happening on the ground. to even have a means of accessing the site before even the ambulances get there. How many lives would be saved? It is more of reorienting this, and this is the space that I hope or pray that our youth who are very smart will be able to occupy that space.
The transformation path being charted required integration of service with new approaches such as digital technologies, especially in the face of emerging global challenges and changing environment in workplace.
We need to focus on possibilities, not impossibilities. Opportunities, not limitations. Adoption of technology, not being technology lethargic. But we have to go further. As we sanitize that mind, we have to sanitize our wordings, we have to sanitize our hearts as well. I'm talking about a major and dramatic shift in the mindset of the public service, a shift which should be quantum in nature, revolutionary in thinking, forward-looking into the future, transformational, and a quantum in terms of deed.
The future public service needs to be more agile, tech-savvy, data-driven, and human-centric.
Then we discussed the youth and digitization and how to even make the service younger, because these people are unapologetically challenging the old rules, asking what is the relationship between my attire and performance. Why can't I work at home and do the report? Why do I have to come to the office? So we have been challenged about the office of the future. It looks like it will be a desk-free office where people are working from remote places. And then the challenge came of security and safety of government information. Should people be working from wherever they are working? And also the issues of modernizing, greening the public office. That was discussed under environment, that some of our offices are so dark that we are burdening the government with a very big electricity bill, and people running gadgets which they ought not to be running, people using too many pens and wasting them, people using too much paper when they could actually go paperless and save. So that was about greening the public service. So digitization, greening the public service, nutrition, and then if that is going to happen, capacity building, that people need to be given new skills and new competencies.
We can leverage on technology and really drive that inclusion directly now from a legislative perspective, and then now we can be able to now start feeling that inclusion by the youth. And this process is being done by the youth themselves.
The 2022 APSD National Celebration had a mix of exhibitions and symposium.
We have this symposium where we have scholars and thought leaders and experts who will be speaking on various topics touching on public service transformation for the next 2 days.
The ministries, departments, agencies and county government exhibited to showcase outstanding innovations that have transformed how service is being delivered to the citizenry in the last 10 years.
Agriculture research, therefore, has been given prominence in Kenya. We have KALRO, we have universities where I come from, we have Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock and Cooperatives, they have a research wing, and other research, international research organizations. So research policy and funding, NACOSTI and the NRF Kenya are structures that have been put in place to support research in terms of funding.
The innovation that we are exhibiting the last 2 days is government performance contracting information system. This is an online system that we have developed for the purpose of automating performance contracting processing.
And Plasmocheck is a kit, rapid diagnostic kit that is meant for malaria diagnosis, and it has been brought into Kenya, or we have manufactured it in Kenya to augment the already existing but short supply of kits, as we have seen with COVID-19.
And we started with one Huduma Center, which is the GPO Huduma Center. Currently we have 52 Huduma Centers countrywide. The program has evolved within time, and by now there are so many other innovations that have been developed anchored on the Huduma centers.
The innovation on public service transformation submitted were categorized into 5 thematic areas as follows: business process reengineering, innovation for inclusive and equitable service delivery, public service digitization, entrenching performance management, success in cascading performance contracting, environmental conservation and climate change initiatives.
We have the United Nations Framework Convention, which was adopted in 1992, which Kenya ratified, and with its other agreements like Paris Agreement, and we also are implementing other multilateral environmental agreements related to biological diversity, desertification, and chemicals. And basically what these agreements do is that they help us domesticate in terms of national laws and regulations, and we also follow up with compliance, and of course we give incentives to those who comply, and we also penalize those who don't comply. We have the Vision 2030. The Vision 2030 is the means or the tool that we use to mainstream climate change. We are now working with the State Department of Planning to make sure that all sectors are mainstreaming climate change in the next set of plans and also in their CIDPs.
Outstanding innovations and innovators were recognized and awarded with trophies and certificates. The symposium involved paper presentation and panel discussions to provide an opportunity to scholars, practitioners, and thought leaders to share new information and research in areas touching on public service transformation.
The environment in which the public service operates has become increasingly dynamic and complex, calling for flexibility and adaptation of best practices. Globalization and digitalization of business has called for a redefinition of public service roles.
The presentations and discussions revolve around the following topics: fostering innovation to deliver inclusive and equitable services, strengthening resilience in nutrition and food security for a healthy nation, harnessing health and social protection system for acceleration of social and economic development, harnessing the youth potential for digital transformation in delivery of services, environmental conservation and climate change initiatives, deepening devolution to enhance service delivery and improve citizens' livelihood, emerging issues and public service of the future.
The ICT sector is vital in promoting the socio-economic development of our country, as it has the potential to radically and speedily transform public service delivery through digitization and innovation. The sector can and also greatly accelerates the achievement of a socio-economic transformation goals and objectives as envisaged in Kenya's Vision 2030 and the African Union Agenda 2063. The Kenyan Vision 2030 envisages an intensified application of technology and innovation to raise productivity and efficiency levels across the economic, social, and political pillars. The vision recognizes the role of technology in promoting sustained economic growth, equitable distribution of resources, as well as poverty alleviation. The Public Service Commission Strategic Plan 2019 through 2024 also recognizes strongly the role of ICT in facilitating and improving public service delivery in our country.
The panel discussion in the form of dialogue series by experts and shareholders focused on the devolution journey in the country in the last decade and to the future.
One of the greatest gains in the Constitution of Kenya 2010 is the entrenchment of the devolved systems of government and the inclusion of a devolution agenda in the supreme law of the land was to ensure that services are delivered at the lowest level, as well as ensuring socio-economic development of the people of Kenya. Devolution is the transfer of power and resources, as you know it, from the national to the lowest levels, with the aim of bringing services closer to the people, as decisions are made nearer to the local people, communities, businesses that they affect. It equally means that for purposes of inclusion, the people are therefore consulted accordingly, so that the input of the people are also therefore the key ingredient of planning for the provision of these kind of services, as well as ensuring that when the services are being provided, the people are equally able to say whether the services have been delivered or are being delivered or have not been delivered.
It is again clarified that for devolution to work effectively, the two levels of government, although they are distinct, and sometimes there is blurring of that distinct quality, but although they are distinct, they are required to conduct their mutual relations on the basis of consultation, collaboration, and cooperation according to Article 6, Sub-Article 2. And these two governments or two levels are independent. Of course, when you go to the village or when you go to the counties, especially rural ones, and I think not just rural ones, but all of them, the citizens sometimes don't differentiate between county and national government. They tell you, you are still government, provide all these services. I don't want to be told that there's a road which somebody works on it from Nairobi. Since we have elected you at the county, even if there is somebody else who works on it from Nairobi, go tell them. So there is that tendency of the citizens really wanting both governments to do all that they are supposed to do. After the articulation of the devolved system within the Constitution, and of course other laws like the County Governments Act and so on, one of the most important things was to ensure that there was a flow of the funds that must percolate to the counties. And the Constitution said minimum of 15%.
The benefits from the 2022 Africa Public Service Day included strengthened collaboration and partnerships between the innovators, industry and government in public service delivery.
And because of those discussions, then 3 institutions were identified which will help us fast track or derail public service transformation just because of where they sit. If we are going to have a different workplace of the future, the SRC has to decide new methods of remuneration. Probably it's not permanent and pensionable. I don't know what they will do. So the SRC was challenged to be more agile and to be more modern. Then we had the School of Government, which was greatly challenged to bring the needed new skills into the public service. The traditional supervisory management courses were challenged here because the young people need different skills. And then we had the Public Service Commission, which is in charge of establishing and abolishing offices. So in the future, what offices will you establish? And in the future, which offices do you need to retire?
Visibility for innovators and innovation from public service institutions on service delivery. Documentation of innovative approaches to inform practice. Enhanced peer learning from public service institutions and practitioners.
The public service of the future will be one that will be based on research. Decision making in the public service will have to be based on research. And it will also have to be a public service, therefore, that will be anticipating problems and issues rather than responding to problems and issues. Therefore, the Kenya School of Government has to readjust training programs so that we can develop a kind of knowledge that enables public officials to predict issues, predict challenges, and prepare early enough to overcome those challenges.
The Commission has 5 principles that we adhere to, and over the last 10 years, the first one is to ensure a wage bill that is fiscally sustainable, affordable, fiscally sustainable. From 2013 up to now, that wage bill has gone, that ratio has gone down from 54% to about 42%. So that's where we are at the moment. And one of the things that the Commission did in 2019 was to bring all the stakeholders together through a national wage bill conference. And that was in recognition that a wage bill cannot be just SRC talking about it and saying this is what we need to do. So we brought together all the stakeholders, both from public, private sector, and I'm happy to report that out of that conference, we came up with 15 resolutions. If you go to the SRC website, you'll be able to see those 15 resolutions. And some of that actually talks about how you transform remuneration and benefits in the public sector. And this was actually a response from those who attended the conference. And I'm happy to note that out of that conference, the resolutions were adopted by the 8th Summit. And we then had an intergovernmental ministerial body that has been running through with the PS. The CS is actually chairing that committee together with the chairperson of the COG, that board, the governors. So together we have been working through implementing those resolutions.
We have a service-oriented devolution which does present an opportunity to unlock Kenya's economic potential and realize its development goals by reducing inequalities, promoting gender equality, and increase access to quality services. And most importantly, addressing youth unemployment and inclusivity. And I think if you go through the exhibitions, one can clearly see what role the youth are doing in public service transformation. Chief guests, ladies and gentlemen, UNDP and the UN family have been supporting public service transformation, and particularly devolution, since the advent of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, offering both financial and technical assistance that has reached all counties, national ministries, departments, and agencies. We have walked the public service transformation and devolution journey together with the people of Kenya. Ladies and gentlemen, UNDP congratulates the government of Kenya for celebrating the Africa Public Service Day on this day, and we've been having activities here for the last 2 days to reward and motivate excellence and enhance professionalism and share best practices. We appreciate the opportunity extended to us to join the people of Kenya in celebrating achievements in the transformation of public service.
I was the chairman of the Council of Governors, so we committed ourselves as Council of Governors to make sure that we promote performance at the county level. But as head of civil service, I think it is important we encourage all counties to embrace performance contracting if we have to grow together as a country.
Indeed, it is you who make the difference in terms of moving this nation to our desire in terms of our Vision 2030 and even other visions that we are going to be putting in place later in the future. I also solemnly remember all those who fell in line of duty. In line with their commitment to duty, they remained open for business while the world was shutting down. Their work and indeed their dedication and loyalty will remain engraved in our hearts. In order to ensure we safeguard these gains, it is imperative that we continue to strengthen and modernize the public service. That is why we in Kenya have sustained our interventions to transform the public service with a vision to build an efficient and highly empowered human capital with the skills and competencies necessary to respond to the demands of a highly dynamic environment and an increasingly demanding and well-informed citizenry.
The public service of today and the public service of the future is driven by digital technology. And then that tells us what skills you and me need to be able to position, to be a better version of myself, or to be a better, to serve in the public service of today and public service of the future. Let's ask ourselves, what is one thing that we are going to take from this conference and to make a real difference and a real impact in the public service, so that when we celebrate African Public Service Day, we can actually say we are accountable for the one thing we took in the investment we have done today.